Nara Yedia.
A very good afternoon to you and welcome to today's edition of Joy Business Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, good energy. Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. Masterclass comes your way every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Today at 1:37 p.m. It's going to run all the way through to 2:15 here on your superstation Joy 99.7. My name as always is Yaw Anim Barnafo and I'm glad to be your host for today's edition of Masterclass. We had some good news for our listeners last week and hopefully we have the same good news for our listeners today. 2 lucky winners will win fuel coupons for themselves going into Christmas. I'd say that becomes very handy. So please keep listening. And if you know someone who listens to Masterclass, please call them and tell them that Masterclass is up. Towards the end of the year, we always want to bring something special to our listeners and entrepreneurs, particularly our business people. We want to help you to get your books right because the information you get here on Masterclass is pro bono. You would have paid for it otherwise, but we bring experts into the studio to share thoughts with you that can help your businesses to grow so that when your businesses grow, the whole economy grows and the country grows and we all become better for it. So we're sharing with you information on how to get your books together properly towards the end of the year in the area of tax so that when the taxman comes after you, you don't have to stutter or try and find excuses. And as a famous musician says, you don't have to explain. Otherwise, you go explain tire. But hopefully, you'll do the right thing. Last week, we had here with us on the show a renowned Ghanaian, Dardey, who's Associate Director of Tax and Regulatory Services at KPMG. We don't have a lot of time today, so I won't read his CV. But his CV is one of those CVs that when I grow up, I want to be like him. He shared a few things with us on taxation, introduced the conversation to us, what the different types of taxes were and what we could do in terms of our taxes to actually get some reliefs. Today we're going to be focusing the conversation essentially on tax reliefs. And if time allows us, we'll spend a bit of time talking about what the tax component of the just read budget was. I'm sure that you are very interested in finding out what the implication for you is on tax as a business person. But I want to go straight to our conversation this afternoon and welcome my guest in the studio. Gordon, you're welcome back to today's conversation. I wish I could say a lot more, but I'm going to leave it all to you. We started a certain conversation backstage before we came in, so let's sort of carry on in that same line. Today we're talking about tax reliefs.
Sure.
A lot of people don't pay attention to this particular area of taxes. And I remember that when we had this conversation about a year or two ago with Richard Corey, he mentioned that some of the most wealthiest people in the world are people who pay attention to their taxes. When we hear tax, we think that it's only a take. But here we're going to talk about reliefs on the show today and educate our listeners. Please take the conversation away.
Thank you, Yaw, and thank you to our viewers and our listeners for making it today again to listen to us. And for me, it's an opportunity to come your way again to explain to you the taxes as it applies to businesses and individuals in Ghana. So last week in our conversation, we discussed about corporate taxation and the general rules as it applies to filing your self-assessment returns, the penalties that comes with non-compliance and all that. We tried a bit to go into employment tax to look at what constitutes employment income and how that is taxed. Today we want to focus on personal reliefs because that's this one area that we feel individuals need to focus on to at least alleviate some of the tax burdens that they have. It may not look so significant, but it's an area that if you focus on, at least you can get some savings that can carry you during the year. Now, so I mean, globally, if you look at different government introduce different type of tax reliefs, and one may ask, what do they want to do, or what are these reliefs in general? Now, tax reliefs are programs or initiatives that governments embarks on, to reduce the tax burden of their people. And then, of course, they do this through different mediums. So you can do this through deduction, through exemption, and then through a credit system. What we practice in Ghana here is a mixture of the three. You have the credit system, and then you also have the exemption system. Now, tax reliefs, as I said, they are very important because they help individuals reduce their tax obligations during the year. They also provide some savings to taxpayers. And of course, it also helps to improve compliance. Because if a government wants to ensure that people comply with their tax obligations, one of the things you want to do is to give something back to them when they file their returns. And so when you do these things, you help the people to comply with the tax obligation. Now, when we look at what happens in Ghana, there are two types of tax reliefs as it applies to individuals. And what we call them is the upfront reliefs and then the other reliefs. Now, when you come to the upfront reliefs are reliefs that you get them just through application. So on a month by month basis, once you have applied for them and you've gotten the approval from the Commissioner General, every month you can actually work with your payroll department or your accounting department or finance unit and get the credits or the deductions for them. Now, based on our laws, there are 5 major upfront reliefs that I think our listeners should be aware of. The first one is what we call the marriage or responsibility relief. And if I say the first one based on my discussion with you today, it's not in any particular order. So so don't get me wrong. So the first one is the marriage or responsibility relief. So what the government is saying that just by getting married alone and just by being responsible, there's some cushion or relief the government is giving you through the tax system. So that's very good.
Please say that again slowly.
So I'm saying for my listeners and my viewers who are bachelors or spinsters, when you marry, there is a relief that you qualify for just by getting married.
Please, is it with retrospective effect? Because I can tell you that I have a lot of friends who are married. They have never heard what you are saying before.
Okay, so it can actually go back if you want to file your returns. You want to go back to file your returns. Okay, but of course the consequence of filing your returns backdated are also there.
So there's a deterrent.
I mean, yes, but what we will say is that what we want to encourage people to do is that going forward from now, once you are aware of these particular provisions in the law and how beneficial they are, you should just take advantage of them.
You see, I always say that for people who listen to us and for business owners, you can never know everything yourself. So the same way you hire lawyers, you hire auditors, I think that we should begin to hire tax consultants.
Sure.
Because I've never heard this thing before. When you get married, you get tax relief.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So I mean, and just to take us back a bit, so as you just said, people, and I tell my colleagues every time that consultants, our work is one of the difficult one, but not paid for. Right. So for example, one goes to the hospital and tells the doctor that I have a headache. Before you start, you tell him your problem from the beginning. Give them an idea, but you pay a consultancy fee before you start.
Yeah.
As a consultant, I'm there. Somebody calls me. My what do I do with my POI rate of this? I give the advice on the phone, and that's it. Right. They don't get it. So, I mean, on Masterclass, for instance, an opportunity for our viewers and our listeners to actually take advantage of what we discuss here, because it's actually free of charge.
Right.
And it's pro bono. KPMG is bringing this to you for free.
Right.
Now, so as I said, marriage or responsibility, once you are married, you get a relief for that. And it doesn't come automatic. You have to actually apply to the Commissioner General and then get the approval, and then you can get it through your tax payroll
So what would be the definition of married here? And I'm not being mischievous, because I know a few of our people have married by ordinance and some under customary law. So what would be the state's definition or eligibility criteria?
Okay. So as part of the application process, when you get to the GRA, one of the things that they will require is the marriage certificate.
Right.
Yes. So once you prove evidence of marriage through the certificate, then you'll be able to take advantage of this particular relief.
So under ordinance.
Yes. Now there's another one that we call the child education, and I'll come back to the marriage to give you in terms of the amount that you will get. So child education. If you also have children and they are in school, government is also giving you relief for educating your children, and you can enjoy
even if it's under free education. Because I know there's FQ, free compulsory universal basic education.
That is there.
And there's free SHS.
Yes.
So after the free, you can still go back and get relief.
So there are people who are in private schools.
Okay.
But so this relief is actually available for people who are in a registered school that is approved by the Ministry of Education in Ghana.
Naturally, all the schools, unless they're
so you can also have Ghanaians who have their children outside the country. They will not enjoy this relief.
Has to be in Ghana.
In Ghana. You have to be resident in Ghana. The school must be a resident school, a school that is approved by Ministry of Education in Ghana.
Okay.
There's another relief that we call the disability relief, and this is available for the people that are disabled that are also working. And for me, when I look at the sustainability,
disabled and working.
Yes.
Not disabled and not working.
No, not disabled and idle, but disabled and working, because you take it through the payroll system, or when you file your returns, right?
But when you say working in paid employment, so it can be your own business.
Yes,
so long as you are filing.
Yes, so long as you are filing. Yes. So I mean, I would say that our tax law actually looked forward. Okay. Today we are talking about inclusion. When you look globally, everybody's talking about inclusion. How do we achieve the sustainable development goals and all that?
Yeah.
And our tax law has actually, showcased this particular relief for a long time. So when you, as an employer, even when you engage people who are disabled, you are able to even help them to further save some additional tax just because they are disabled. Okay. And the law actually defines who a disabled person is. So you can't just sit back and say that I'm disabled and then get the exemption or get the
but I think that would be mischievous and malicious.
Well,
just for tax relief.
Well, so when it comes to these things, if you go to you have to actually go to the social welfare department,
right,
and get approval that you are disabled. So it's not just sitting in your room or your employer looking at you and thinking that you are disabled, so I'm giving you the relief. You must actually get that kind of.
So there's a process about it.
Yes. So maybe to make it more clear, it's just not like disability. Okay. So you have to go to the social welfare department for them to prove that. Okay.
Right.
Then you also have the old age relief. So you have somebody who is 60 years, he's on retirement, but they're still working. So such people cannot actually get some relief through the tax system. So you are 60 years and above, you are on retirement, you are doing some 1 or 2 work here and there. When you file your returns on a monthly basis or on an annual basis, you are able to claim some relief for doing that. Then we also have what we call the aged dependent. So as we sit here, I'm sure you have some support you give to your parents or any parents equivalent. The tax law actually gives you some benefit for doing that for 2 people. And in hindsight, I just look at it. Okay, so it's your father and mother, or any other person who you support who is aged and depends on you.
Right.
Okay, and you have to apply for this. And so I'll go into details. Now, the other reliefs that we call that are not upfront are reliefs that you also get when you pursue what we call professional or vocational or technical training. So for me, as an accountant, I'm required to maintain a minimum CPD hours for the year. So each year, ACCA or ICA or the CIT expect me to get this minimum number of credits before my membership is renewed.
Yeah.
Once you finish the exams, it's not final. Every year you have to prove that you are current, you have the relevant skill to continue to call yourself as a chartered accountant or a chartered tax practitioner. And I think other institutions or other professions also have similar things.
I think it's the same thing with the PMP as well.
Yes.
And and the rest are learning as well.
Yes. So when you go through some level of training, for example, we come to KPMG for a training, and you pay about 1,000, 2,000 cedis or 1,005, whatever amount you incur, or 5,000, 10,000. The law is actually saying that you are going to be given 2,000 as relief for the year.
That's significant.
Yes. So we'll go into the numbers actually to tell you what you can actually
very
get
significant
from the other ones. But that one is not upfront. So that you cannot take through to the payroll system. When you file your returns, you can get that one through the return system and you get a credit. So as I said from the beginning, different reliefs are given for different purposes. This one, for instance, is to encourage people to file their tax returns and to encourage.
So let me make a certain deduction that assuming that an individual falls within, let's say, a number of these categories,
yes,
but is also running their own business, and therefore accumulates credits on some of these indirect tax reliefs or direct tax reliefs, and files tax of X on the denominator of Y at the end of a certain period, it is possible that they would have filed their returns, but will actually literally part with little or no money.
Yes,
because they will maximize on their credits.
Yes. So, I mean, as an individual, when you are in business, you can be in business in different forms. You can actually register as a sole proprietor, or you have a limited liability company or a partnership that you are with somebody. If you are a sole proprietor, what it means that the business is not so different from the person running it. You can be earning income as an employee, let's say multimedia, but you have something on the side that you've also registered that you are doing.
Right.
So if you want to really benefit from all these reliefs, then, for instance, the other one that is not upfront, when you are filing your annual return for the year, you can apply for that particular one, and then you get the credit that will take you into the next year.
That's interesting.
Now let me go back to look at how the different reliefs apply and what is the money that people should look out for. So under marriage or responsibility relief, as I said, is granted to a resident individual with a dependent spouse to take care of their at least 2 children. So here we need to understand that if you are even two couple, if you are 2 people in marriage, okay, the question that has always come is, even for child education, who can claim? Can I claim as the husband and my wife also claim the same if you are filing our returns? But the law actually makes it is one person can elect and claim. So if you are married and I am claiming, then you cannot go and claim the other aspect of the relief. Now, when it comes to the marriage or responsibility relief, it's actually valued at 1,002 for the whole year
Per child.
That's responsibility. So
okay.
just marrying.
Okay.
Government is giving you 1,002 for the whole year.
That's 100 cedis a month.
Yes. So the whole year, if you file for this, you are going to get 1,002, and then that 1,002 will be deducted from your assessable income, and then that's what the difference what you pay tax on.
Right.
If you have a child and you have 3 children and you are benefiting from them, every child is equal to 600 Ghana cedi.
Right.
So if you have 3, then that's 600 times 3, that's 1,008. That's also quite significant.
Yeah.
If you also are disabled or you have some disability, and as I said, you must go to the social welfare for approval, you get up to a maximum of 25% of your assessable income as a relief. So you actually
That's
pay
1/4.
Yes, that is actually given to you by the government. Now, the old age relief as well. So you are 60 years and above and you are working. The law is granting you an additional 1,500 cedis per year as a relief. Those of us who have our parents, our grandmothers, our grand aunties, we can prove that they are dependent on us.
Yeah.
We are also going to get a relief of about 1,000 cedis for one person. If there are 2, then 2,000. If you put all this together, an individual who is taking care of his children in school, who is married, who has an aged dependent on them, qualifies up to about 5,000 Ghana cedi per annum. If you look at that on a monthly basis, you are going to get about 416 Ghana cedi as a relief.
And that's, for me, it's significant.
That is very significant.
It's significant because what's the national minimum wage per month anyway?
Well, it's
so yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. It covers it.
It covers. Yeah. So if you actually file the returns, what if you claim this thing, what it means that you are going to get the minimum wage, which is free, and also get this one in addition.
Yeah.
So if the minimum wage is 400, you are going to get 800 Ghana cedi of your income relieved.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then this is very significant. For me, I think that, however you look at it, we are crying every day that our tax burden is high, what's government doing for us and everything. But these are things that are enshrined in law. My friend, and I'll come to that, my friend Kwesi Oredu actually tested one of these laws when he took a loan to buy his first home. And the tax authorities were saying that he can actually get the deduction on that mortgage only when he files his returns. And actually tested at the court, and the court ruled that when you have a home that you have actually used loan to procure that house, which is your first primary home, and your first primary home is one for your lifetime, you can actually get interest deduction, or interest relief for the interest components that is on that mortgage.
Right. So the interest component will not be taxable if it's your first home and it's secured by loan.
Yes. And that is upfront. So all that you need to do is to also confirm that you have that mortgage, you apply, you take the documents.
You notice I'm smiling because I think we've had this conversation somewhere before. Yeah. This one, they were just being mischievous. So the person was like, now when they see me present it here. But the point is that for them to disburse a mortgage, it will go through proper channels.
Yes.
So, regardless, you will bear that. You will bear that responsibility.
Yes. So you go through that process, make sure that the mortgage amount is, verified. The interest component is very clear for the finance unit to actually get the approvals. And every month, you can, and that is very very significant because depending on how much you are paying, and we know how much mortgage is in this market. So whatever interest you are getting for that, that's actually something you can also get deductions for. So our call to everyone listening to us today is that these are very significant. We want everyone to take advantage and opportunity to file their returns, to apply for these reliefs, because it comes with some benefit that would help you. With your compliance.
Are there reliefs for working persons who work beyond a certain number of hours per month or whatever? In this jurisdiction,
no,
not at all.
No. There's no relief like that. But again, there's a relief for overtime workers.
Okay.
But the overtime workers, me and you will not qualify for that. Naturally. So there's actually a base amount that is used to assess overtime workers. So if those who qualify for it, then it means that if they work extra, they'll get that.
But let's share some thoughts on it. I'm sure someone is listening and maybe they qualify, or maybe they're a factory worker, or they're in manufacturing or whatever, and they qualify.
Okay, so we will look at overtime and bonus in our next discussion.
Right.
We'll go into details, look at overtime and then bonus calculation in our next deduction. This is an interesting conversation. We'll be getting interactive at some point shortly, so that our listeners can be a part of it. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your Superstation Joy 99.7. I have a quick question before we go for the commercial break. I was just thinking about this whole thing about expanding our tax net. I think it's a refrain that has probably been sung over and over and over again. And maybe I'll ask you the question about whether or not as a country we've been successful in expanding our tax net, but I want our listeners to also be a part of this conversation. So we'll take a quick message from our sponsors. When we come back, we get into it. Interesting.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your Superstation Joy 99.7. Today we're here in the studio with Gordon Dardey, and we're talking about taxation in Ghana. Phone lines are now open. 2 lucky winners today will win fuel coupons for themselves from Goyle. Numbers to call 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. Do you have a motor vehicle of any kind? Because if you do, Goyle has some great news for you. What do you do when your vehicle stops? If you just stop anywhere, then please don't do that anymore. Let us introduce you to the Good Energy family and why you must be a part of it. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP are the best quality fuels with high performance in town for your vehicle. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is a high-grade fuel sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle's Diesel XP is low in sulfur, making it an eco-friendly option for your vehicle. And with over 440 stations across the nation, we ask that you join the family that rewards you for quality and an energized driving experience. Goyle, Good Energy, Goyle. I've announced the phone line 0302216541. Goyle is giving away some fuel coupons to 2 lucky winners today, so please pick up that phone and give us a call. Goyle, Good Energy, Goyle. Habitat Fair 2023. Prepare for an exhilarating experience at the main fair of the 2023 EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Join us at the Accra International Conference Center from Thursday 23rd of November to Sunday 26th of November 2023. Doors will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. each day to welcome you. This year, we're diving into the theme of home ownership and exploring the nuances between affordability, comfort, and luxury. Whether you're embarking on your home ownership journey or looking for upgrades, this fair is your destination for everything housing. This year's EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, empowered by the Planned City Expansion Project from Cities and Habitats Rent to Own, and sponsored by Elegant Homes, where quality meets value, Global Lighting, your solution to quality lighting, Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough, Alphabet City, the ABC of Home Sweet Home, Springfield Estates, where dreams are built, Virtual Security, Complete Security Solutions, DBS, your roof experts. Virtual InfoSec Africa, Security Solutions by Design, Saint Gobain, Weber, Cuproc, Prorock, Placo, Isova, Making the World a Better Home, Clifton Homes, Beautiful Homes, Wise Investments, The Kensington Heights, Airport City, Kumasi by HDG Homes. Phone lines are still open. Numbers to call 0302216541. Good afternoon. I have a caller on the line. Your name and where you're calling from. Welcome to Masterclass.
I'm calling from Dansby, North Carolina. My name is Charles.
Charles, right. Charles, how is it this afternoon where you are?
Oh, it's shining. I mean, the weather is hot, temperature very high.
Okay, so let me cool your temperature for you. When you are done talking to me on air, please don't hang up. Stay on the line. My production crew will have a chat with you. And congratulations, you've won for yourself a fuel coupon. I won't tell you the amount. They will tell you off air. But congratulations, and thank you for calling.
Thank you, sir.
Now talk to me, Charles.
I applied for this aged relief, and I think 2 years ago they gave it to me. And recently I applied again, but do we have to do it online? Because since they introduced this online payment of taxes, some of us who are not conversant with online things are getting problem with making claims and filing taxes and all those things. Because I haven't heard from them since about 6 months ago now. I wrote a letter. I went to the office. It was stamped, but nothing.
Charles, please keep listening. Thankfully, you are in luck today. Today, you have a double winner. So, apart from the fuel coupons, my guest in studio has obliged to provide support for you in this process. So, we will put out a number. Keep listening. And please call that number, and there'll be somebody at the end of that line to help you resolve your issue. Thank you for calling, Charles. Don't hang up. Stay on the line, and the production crew will have a chat with you. Right. I have just enough time for just one more phone call. I have one more fuel coupon to give out. Numbers to call 0302216541. Charles, the number that you should ring is 0302-770-712. That goes straight to KPMG offices. 0302-770-712. Or you can call 050-1324-230. That's 050-1324-230. Those go straight to the offices of KPMG, and they're happy to help you to resolve your issue on your tax claim. I have just enough time for one more phone call. Numbers to call 0302216541. I have one more fuel coupon to give out, so please pick up that phone and give us a call. While we're waiting for the phone lines to ring, we're going to talk about expanding the tax net. Have we been successful as a country?
Well, so I would say...
For the next 30 seconds, you are the finance minister.
I would say we've made a lot of attempts to it. If you look at our tax to GDP ratio for some time now, a number of the times we try to say the ratio is very low, we are doing 13%. But I think we need to also look at the components of the economy. I mean, our GDP. What's the makeup of the GDP? So for some time now, when we got oil, our GDP expanded. One will say that, so are we not getting tax revenue from there? Our Greek sector is expanding. You will see that our Greek really constitutes a significant part of our GDP. But that sector has some exemptions. So when you are looking at how much tax we are taking from our Greek sector, it will be very small. But if you compare us to other countries that may not be really high on our Greek, then of course their tax to GDP ratio will be high. Now, are we doing better or not? I think we've done a lot of work in Ghana where a lot is being collected. But of course, if you compare it to the expenditure, then we are still lagging behind. Now, the area that we need to maybe pay more attention is the digital economy. Today, if you want to tax, the brick and mortar, people who are doing businesses, you want to identify them and tax them, you tax a few people. People who are doing business in their cars, they have presence online. How can the government put in place policies to ensure that those people who are operating online are taxed? Today, there is some, I can see that the GRA is making some effort towards that. But it's not just about the big ones that we know, the LinkedIn, the Google, the Facebooks, not just that. But the guy who does decor, who charges about 20,000 cedis for one event, if he gets about 3 events in a month, that's 60,000.
The events people, they won't take you kindly.
Multiply that by 12. I'm just using them as an example. But this is the only country we have. This is our own one Ghana.
Our entertainment industry is growing.
It's growing.
I'm telling you.
It's growing. So if we are able to monitor the presence on social media, people put things on their WhatsApp status and all that. That is one area that we can actually put tax policy there, right, and see how we can tax those people.
I'll come back to you, but I've got a second caller on the line. Good afternoon. Welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good afternoon, Yaw. My name is Harrison from Dodowa.
Harrison, my brother, I'm glad that you won my second coupon. Congratulations. You won for yourself a fuel coupon. We'll tell you the amount off air so that nobody will get you in the corner and give you a knock on your head. But please stay on the line once we're done, and then my production crew will speak to you. Now you can ask me your question, Harrison.
Okay, thank you, Yaw. Please, my issue with the tax is about when I have the reality when I registered my small construction company, and then I went to a GRA office to request for TCC, tax clearance certificate. I mean, a fresh graduate who graduated from university set up his food business, and then the tax officer asked me to pay 3,000 for TCC. And what we were told in school, or we were educated, is that tax is collected after your profit or after your expenses. And because I wasn't able to produce the 3,000, I was refused a TCC. And without a TCC, you can't bid for any contract. I struggled my way out, worked for one or two private companies. I was now on my feet now, but I find it difficult to pay tax. I sometimes don't know how we the small companies or we the startups are treated. I can't pay 3,000 if my company was a month old and I was asked to pay 3,000 just to bid for a contract. So my advice to GRA is that they should be flexible for the startups so that we can be able, because as of now I work, I don't pay tax, but I work all right. I get job and I do. I don't pay tax. And it's
I was hoping you won't say that on here, but thank you very much. I think that your point is well made.
All right,
but you see, I was even going to help. No, okay. You should answer. I was going to say that you taught us something last week about the fact that when you were registering your company, what declarations did you make? What line of business? Harrison, please listen very carefully. The 3,000 may have been a function of a certain computation, which is based on the information you provided when you were registering. But if you had not done any business, then there were processes to follow. You could write and defer. Isn't that what you?
Yes.
You are the expert.
So thanks very much for this question. And ignorance of the law is not excuse. Yeah. If I'm the tax collector, I want to maximize revenue. So if you come to me and you don't have an assessment, I'll use my best estimate to assess you. Yeah. But as a new business, if you want to get a tax clearance certificate, the law actually requires you to do your own self-assessment. So when you go to the GRA and you apply, what you need to do is to do an assessment and file and say, based on my own projections that I've made for the year, my revenue is X amount. Because don't forget, you are going for that certificate because you are going to bid for a contract. So you should know the value of that contract and how that translates into the whole year, how many contracts you get. So assuming you say 100,000 for the year, your tax rate is 25%. And that is what will be the function of what you pay. So you go to GRA and you can say, well, I'm doing a new business. I don't expect to make profit in the first quarter, and therefore I'm filing a nil return. And that is acceptable. And GRA will accept that and issue your certificate. In fact, that is now done online. So I'm a little surprised. Maybe he did that some time ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Today, if you go online, you can actually file a nil return. If everything is correct, you get your tax clearance. You don't have to deal with any person.
Right.
But if you have challenges online, you can actually walk to the tax office as well, and then get that resolved.
And Harrison, my brother, and anybody who's listening who's in Harrison's case, if you have any difficulty with some of these things, let's get consultants to help. You see, there are experts who are trained to do the same way we get auditors, the same way we get lawyers. Let's get tax consultants. They can help educate us so that we can do this properly. I was on the back of the second question I asked. Phone lines are still open. Still got a few more minutes. I think 4 minutes or so. We're wrapping up. Okay. What are we expecting to talk about next week? Maybe I'll save my question for next week.
All right. So today we've actually looked at the reliefs for individuals.
Right.
Next week we expect to go through the corporate reliefs, the one that apply to companies. But again, next week we are looking at, as we are going towards the year end, I wanted one of my colleagues to actually come and take us through bookkeeping. What are the accounting requirements that we need to put in place to actually close the year very well? So either we do the bookkeeping or we do the corporate reliefs. That I'll leave to you. to choose.
We'll
for
have
our
that
listeners.
conversation. Thank you so much, Gordon. This has been Masterclass here on your Superstation. That's all time will allow us now. Today's edition of Masterclass was brought to us by Goyle. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle Yanaredia. There were 2 lucky winners of fuel coupons on today's show. God willing, we come your way with yet another exciting edition of Masterclass next week. Thank you for joining us. We'll